phone. Here, get your stuff ready. You should have notes, and we're going to do some stuff a little different. You're going to actually pause to get your homework assignment. It's going to be a really fun day, guys. I hope you're ready for block day. Block day. It's block day. All right. Oh, boy. Where to start, even? All right. Well, first off, I need to scan the QR code so I can control this baby from a distance. And here we go. All right. Boom. All right. Well, I'm logged in. I'm ready to go. All right. Yesterday, we talked about this guy right here. We talked about that I was the same thing as a square root of negative 1. And I stands for, anybody? Treasure. Yes. Imaginary. Good. Yes. Yep. So I stands for imaginary. And that is going to stand for negative 1 because we can't have that happen. Now, with that being said, here's the real trippy part. All right, here's the whole kit and caboodle. This is really more for tomorrow, the next lesson. But what do you think I squared is? Think about that. Remember, if this is I, what happens if I square it? Now, if you guys remember your superheroes, what cancels a square root? A square, right? So, the square cancels out the square root, and all we have left is now negative 1, right? No, I didn't pause it. I was just sitting there for effect. I squared actually equals negative 1. Isn't that food for thought? Now, some of you guys might not completely understand why this works, but it does. Just go with it. No, but if you take the square of the square root of negative 1, the square root and the square will cancel each other out, and you're just left with negative 1. So here's what I think. Okay, pick anybody in the room. I'm not trying to really pick on anybody, but let's just say, Steven. All right, now let's say, just looking at you, I'm going to rank you by your looks, all right, from a 0 to 10. All right, 0 to 10, where do you stand as far as looks go? All right, 10 being the highest, 0 being the lowest, right? 0 to 10, okay. So here's how I remember this. My two eyes say you're a negative 1. You get it? Okay? My two eyes, or I squared, says that you're a negative 1. You remember that one time I tossed the ball at Steven? Wow, that was a good... Oh, man. Just think of those memories. Wow, we just have memories. They're going to last a lifetime, buddy. You and me. So I squared, my two eyes, when you have two eyes, makes a negative 1. So my two eyes say you're a negative 1. If you can remember that, you'll be cooking with gas. Cooking with gas slicker than spit. All that on all the above. Alright, so in computation, we can treat I like a variable x. So if you just have normal I, we're going to treat it just like an x. It's like a normal variable, okay? With the exception, if we end up with something I squared, two i's makes a negative 1. My two i's say you're a negative 1. So whenever we see an I squared, that's when we have to make it a negative 1. So let's just try this out. Now, first off, we have adding and subtracting. Well, in order to add or subtract, there's one thing I know, and I know they must have like terms, right? Correct? Adding and subtracting have to have like terms. And so, yeah, sure, 3i and 5i, well, those are like terms, right? 3i plus 5i is 8i's. Let me scoot down, just scoot down a little bit. And then it says minus an I. Well, what's 8i minus an I? Well, that's going to be 7i. Now, did I ever end up with anything squared? No, I didn't end up with anything squared. So I'm just going to treat it like a normal variable. Okay? So I know some of you guys get real freaked out with i's, and you're like, imaginary. I don't have imaginary friends. Okay? But I really just treat it like an x. The only time you have to worry about I is if it's squared. And my two i's say you're negative 1. All right, now move down here. This is kind of like a little forwardness into what our next lesson's about. What about in this case when it says to multiply? Well, 6 times 2 is 12. And I times I is I squared, right? So now, warning, 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 right? Seeing this I squared? And I remember that I squared is actually a negative 1, right? So it's really 12 times negative 1, which is negative 12. Look at all this cool stuff I'm teaching you guys. Wow. You guys are so lucky. So lucky. Imagine, people 1,000 years ago had no idea what this stuff was. They had no idea. You are so lucky. Look at this. All right. Some numbers have both imaginary and real parts. They're called complex. All right, and that's really what this chapter is all about, is complex numbers. They're written in this form. Not too much. You guys don't have to worry about this too much. You just might want to fill in the blanks just in case we end up doing going by. All right, so let's do some work here. All right, now it says you try, but I think that's meaning me try and you follow. So today we're just going to do the adding, and we're not really going to focus too much on any of the I squareds at all. So it says to add, and so I'm going to combine like terms. So I see a 3 and I see a 1, and I know 3 plus 1 is 4, right? Okay. Now next, I am going to change the color to purple, and I say, hey, that is just like this. Those are both i's, right? So what's negative 4 plus 6? I believe that is 2i. Okay. Can I combine these two? Nope. Not like terms. And I'm done. It's that easy, guys. It's just basically combining like terms. Easy week. Easy week. That's right. Okay. Let's try this one. All right. It says to subtract this time. So we got to be a little extra careful. And so, first of all, like terms, I see an I there and a 4i there, right? Well, let's do this. What's I minus 4i? Right? Because see, it says minus right here. So what's I minus 4i? That's going to give me 3 i's, right? Those guys are done. And then let's do what? Let's do it in brown. We never do anything in brown. Negative 4 minus 3. So what's a negative 4 minus 3? And that's going to give me negative 7. Now I can't combine these, so my final answer is going to be 3i minus 7. So I cannot combine the 3i and the negative 7, because an I is just like a normal variable. Okay. Next, you guys got this copy? Moving on. All right. So this is our homework. Now I'm going to reveal our homework. All right, and what I want you to do is you need to pause the screen in front of you. That means hit the double bars, and I will stop. Like this. You flip your page over that you took notes on. You should have blank. I want you to write down 1 through 8 and write down these problems and do these problems on the back of day 2's paper. We will do the same for day 3. So, pause it, do the work, and be done.